Economists are expecting the South African Reserve Bank to resume its monetary policy easing path in 2025. The central bank cut the interest rates twice in 2024 after inflation decreased below the 3 to 6% target range. Business anchor Tumisang Ndlovu reports on the outlook given by analysts for the next year.
2025 interest rate forecasts for South Africa vary, with some economists more modest than others on how far the Reserve Bank will continue with its monetary policy easing. The overall consensus, though, is that the SARB will cut the interest rate further. Economist Ndlovu shares her outlook.
Well, the positive news is that inflation has come down, but remember that inflation is an indication of price growth. So 2.8 is still an indication of price growth, and the lived experience of consumers is that things are still expensive. The minister did mention that we are expecting electricity increase in the short term. So that again is going to be one of the factors that contributes on the upside in terms of inflation. And he spoke a lot about the trajectory for inflation possibly starting to uptick towards the end of next year. So there will be caution around how the MPC looks at further rate cuts. We are hopeful that we'll see more cuts over the first half of next year, but they will likely be incremental as we've seen with the recent cuts. And it comes at an interesting time, right? So we've just had two pots come out, which has allowed a little bit of release. We're seeing inflation easing and now the interest rate cycle trending downwards, which creates a lot of consumer confidence. So the combination of these factors might make us a lot more buoyant soon. So people are in a spending mood. But I think we need to remain a little bit cautious, especially with some of the comments made by the Reserve Bank around what the trajectory might be, with the understanding that the trend might change in the second half of next year.
The property sector is also optimistic, saying a lower repo rate will stoke an uptick in the industry. Uber Home Loans' Justin Easthorpe also adds his views.
So if you look at it, we've now reduced it to around about 344 Rand per million. So that equates to about 28,000 Rand over the term of the bond over 20 years. So it gives a little bit of reprieve to the existing home buyers or home owners, and also perhaps freeing up a little bit more cash flow for the potential new buyers coming into the market. And I think what that's going to assist with as well is the first-time home buyers that we really need to stimulate the market through. So further rate reductions coming in the new year, whilst once again Governor saying that he will do it from a meeting to meeting basis. All things looking positive and things are looking up. So home buyers are now able to get back into that property market and be able to afford those dream homes that they've always wanted.
Some economists expect a further 75 basis points of cuts in 2025. Sanlam's Patrick Buthelezi says this will be dictated by the trajectory of inflation, which saw a marginal rise of 2.9% in November.
Moving forward, I think inflation, there are a lot of risks involved in moving forward, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them probably upgrading the inflation forecast just marginally higher for next year and even 2026. So for those reasons, so I think they will proceed very cautiously. And also what we have seen, if we look back in September, I think conditions were more favorable in September. We had the currency very strong at 17 Rand 30. We also have this SCOM request of 36% electricity tariffs hanging over us, and that could raise inflation profile next year. So you're also dealing with those risks. But the forecast, our forecast, if I may say, so we expect inflation to remain nicely contained, and there's a nice buffer or scope for the Reserve Bank to continue to cut. But because of what they want to see inflation expectations moving towards 4.5.
The South African Reserve Bank has maintained that its decision-making remains accommodative and is centered around domestic as well as global economic developments. For Newzroom Afrika on Channel 405, I'm Tumisang Ndlovu.